Happy Sunday. Today we are kind of going back to my thrifting roots because I recently had a chance to go visit my family where I am originally from, which means we are going thrifting in Spokane, Washington. We have thrifted here several times before. If you check the playlist on my channel, you can actually watch an entire playlist of videos that I have filmed in Spokane, Washington thrift stores. But this time we're going to a couple new ones. So today's first stop is probably my new favorite thrift store in the Spokane area. It is called Global Neighborhood Thrift, and this is a hybrid of a thrift store and a curated vintage shop all under the same roof. And all of their proceeds go towards supporting people who have come to the Spokane area as refugees. And I think that's just such an amazing cause. So was really happy to check this out, and the finds were immaculate. So without further ado, let's get going to the thrift store and then I'll bring you back here for the haul. So I decided to start browsing in the women's tops first. You can see the pricing looks very reasonable. A lot of the tops are $2.99 or $3.99 each. So really curious to see what we're gonna find today. I am definitely always on the lookout for unique vintage pieces, and I have a few items on my thrift list. Boom, right away found this really cute vintage teddy bear motif denim button-up, 100% cotton. Exquisite, or as my friend Laura would say, exquise. It's super cute, so I'm gonna hang on to that one. And here's a vintage single stitch tee, nothing like too thrilling, but kind of cool to see. There's some vintage tees mixed in there. And I'm just gonna browse through and give you an idea of like the overall selection that's in here. And then actually a blouse in this style is on my thrift list, so I grabbed that as well. Here's a vintage blouse with a really fun color palette and print on it, so I held on to that one, threw it in the cart for sure. So looking good so far. I have a couple of vintage gems right off the bat in my cart. Here's another vintage tee from 1998. The reason I picked this one up to show you is because the back is completely covered in signatures, and I just love thrift store nostalgia items like that. It's so fun. I thought this would make a really cute kind of elevated basic with the little rosettes on the collar. It's super adorable, but in the end I decided I didn't need something like that. Here's a cute basic vintage polo blouse hybrid. This sweater is 100% cashmere, and it has this cute little kitty cat patch on it as well. Really interesting. I think that was added by the previous owner, not like part of the original piece, but nice cashmere sweater, always a good find. I loved this chunky knit cardigan with the big plaid print, and I think if it had been more in season or if I'd had more room in my suitcase, I would have snagged that. I was being extra picky this day, just to let you know, because I didn't have very much room. I love this cute like bandana print quilted jacket, and there were a couple of fun, super bright striped sweaters, but again, I was kind of sticking with a little bit more seasonal theme, so I didn't want to take too many like chunky knit sweaters home. So the fitting rooms are open in this store, so I am going to be trying on a few of the pieces. So right now I'm still kind of scanning through the tops and adding things to my cart to consider for later. There's a lot of really sweet pieces, so I was kind of like getting overwhelmed because my cart was filling up really fast. It was a really good selection. So yeah, obviously we are browsing through the jacket section and they have so many good jackets at this thrift store. This is only half of it because we're going to go over to the men's side as well. And I found so many of these cool embroidered satin bombers and track jackets that are like an employer or a teamster, in this case, truck driver jackets. These were all really cool. I highly considered this one, but again, being extra picky, and it's tough for me to grab extra bulky pieces when I had such limited room in my suitcase. So anyway, just showing you again that this store has a really great jacket selection. Oh, this is 100% genuine suede leather cobalt blue skirt set. It is so gorgeous. If it had been my size, it would have come home with me for sure. I didn't take a look at a lot of the shoes because they have them spread out around the store for the most part, as well as some of the accessories. So just giving you an idea again of some of the little gems that I found kind of scattered throughout the store. And then we'll go and take a look at some of the handbags as well. Really great prices on handbags at $4.99 each, and they had some nice brands too. I like this fanny pack a lot, but it's a little bit more sporty than the type of thing I would typically carry, so I didn't take it. And I also almost bought this beautiful leather Neiman Marcus bag. It would have been a steal for $4.99, but in the end just decided that it wouldn't really add much to my collection and that I probably wouldn't use it as much as some of the other bags that I currently have. So definitely a good find though. And now let's take a look over at the dresses. Not a huge section, but a couple of big racks here and a really good price again. They have some vintage right off the bat, which I'm excited to see because again, they have a separate vintage section in this store, but being able to still find vintage gems scattered throughout the thrift side is really fun for me because I love the hunt. Okay, so we've seen a lot of the women's section so far, and what's funny is I know they have a special vintage section set aside in this store, and yet I'm still seeing a ton of vintage in the racks. I was kind of expecting that like all the really interesting stuff would be pulled to the side, but it's not. So I do want to go find that section, and we still have quite a bit more to see, as well as the men's side. So let's keep going. I'm going to take a quick glance through the men's side and just kind of point out any gems that I'm seeing. I didn't find a ton over here, but again, with these really cool embroidered jackets, I loved all of these. They would be so fun to style, I think.
And then I just found this one, I think, vintage t-shirt, like early Y2K. This style just totally reminds me of growing up in Spokane. That type of thing was super popular. But now I'm anxious to go over to Salvage, which is the curated vintage side, and there is so much to see.
I have a feeling I'm gonna want like everything I see over here. My cart is already like half full, so that's pretty good.
And yeah, I did pretty much want everything that I saw in the salvage side. I'm going to take you through and show you a little bit of everything. There's a lot of vintage t-shirts and sweatshirts in this particular shop, and I feel overall that the pricing was really fair for the quality of vintage. They definitely know what they have, and some of the pieces were priced accordingly, but you could see there were plenty of really cute vintage options that would be fun to style for even like $10, which is a really fair price, even in a specialty vintage shop where they take the time to curate the collection and research all of the pieces and everything. A lot of work goes into it. So I think you're getting a really fair bargain for having such a great curated collection. A lot of the pieces were in really good vintage condition, or they were like the kind that were super thrashed that are also really fun to wear, but they definitely didn't have just like junk in there. It was a really good curated collection. So this is going to be a ton of fun to look at. I'm going to show you around a little bit of everything again, and we'll just have to come back here again in the future and take a little bit deeper dive, because we really could, I could film every single piece in this shop because it's all so fun to look at. And then we'll jump into the fitting room, and ultimately I will show you the haul of what I ended up getting. And again, I was being super picky. I think sometimes I get really overwhelmed shopping in a specialty vintage store where I literally want all of the pieces. It almost makes it harder for me to decide. And so I'll kind of just like limit myself to picking like one or two special pieces that I absolutely have to have. And that's kind of what I ended up doing in the end. But first, let's take a look around, and then we'll go in the fitting room.
Keep it on.
I feel like I'm unprepared for like how jam-packed, like how much there is here, and I'm worried I'm not going to be able to like film as much as I want to, but I want to show you at least some of the highlights, and then maybe we'd actually have to like come back to this store in the future and I can go more in depth on this side because it's just so much. Pretty much this whole rack is like Western wear. Look at these pearl snaps. Some cool Wrangler button-ups. These are some of the t-shirts I'm considering. They're all about 20 bucks each though, so I don't want to take all of them, but that one's cool, it's 18. And then this one, single stitch on all of these too.
So now time to go into the fitting rooms, and I'm going to start and show you some of the pieces that I decided right away that I was not going to get, but I wanted to make sure to show you. Some of these sweeter kind of cottagecore pieces I decided against. This blouse was so pretty, but not my size. And then this denim patchwork vest I just thought was so fun. Not my vibe or style, like it's not something I would reach for, but I had to show you just because I thought it was a really cool find. I decided to leave behind the little teddy bear denim that we found, as well as this red blouse because it was just too small. And then I tried on this striped blouse, obviously. I love how the pocket has like a twisted pattern, but I had just thrifted a different one like it, so I left it. Then this t-shirt, I almost got this t-shirt. I absolutely love it. It is a vintage 80s t-shirt, obviously with the fringe. The only thing is that it had a lot of stains and a big hole in the armpit. I decided that I didn't want to deal with trying to rescue it and that somebody else should have it. So I ended up leaving it behind, even though I was very tempted. And then I tried this floral blouse, and it was a little more oversized than what I expected, but it looked really cute with tuck or tying up the front, so I decided to give that a try. I'm still considering that one.
This is a sale tag too. I think I have to get it.
And then these are the t-shirts that I snagged from the salvage vintage shop side. This Maui t-shirt, super cute. I love the cool graphic on this one and how it's oversized. And then just on the eagle kick, I guess, because I also picked up this eagle t-shirt, and I love how the graphic wraps around the back. I'll show you here in a second. And I also loved the fit of this one. It was like perfectly faded too. And then just one last shirt to try, and then I will show you the haul of what I actually ended up getting.
So, amazing store, right? I absolutely loved it in there. Amazing selection, amazing vibes, just such a fun place to shop. I spent quite a bit of time in there, and then afterward I made another stop at a different thrift store across town, and I did not have time to film, but I will share a few of the pieces that I picked up with you. So let's get into the haul. First of all, I got one of their branded tote bags. They screen print their logo and some like thrifting related content onto tote bags, recycled tote bags, and secondhand t-shirts. So I kind of wanted everything, but I decided to go with a bag that I was able to reuse for thrifting. And it says, "I'd rather be thrifting at Global Neighborhood." So cute. And one other little accessory to show you, these fun vintage earrings with a little black and white stripe. They're like a lightweight metallic earring, and I think they are super cute and fun. Will be definitely a nice little statement earring and kind of easy to style with the black and white colors. On the salvage side, the vintage shop, I literally wanted like everything I saw, and I think I just got a little bit overwhelmed because I was definitely trying to film as much as possible, but I really could have shown you absolutely every item in that store was worth filming. And many of it was like priced very reasonably for the quality of the vintage. So I decided I was just going to select like one very special piece. I had a limited amount of space in my suitcase to bring things home, so that kind of helped me narrow things down, I think. And I went with this NASA Space Camp ringer tee. Looks to me like it is probably an 80s piece, but the graphic is in pristine condition. Love a ringer tee. These are fun colors, and this was also just a really nice fit when I tried it on. So yeah, this was the only thing I picked up on that side, but again, there was so much that I really wanted. If I was local to Spokane, I would be in that vintage shop like every week. On the thrift side, I did still find some vintage pieces, which I thought was awesome because sometimes when there is a vintage section attached, it means that the rest of the thrift store is cleared out of any fun vintage gems, but there was still plenty to find on the thrift store side. So I scored this really cute 90s floral dress from Betsy's Things. This feels like a perfect wearable spring dress, the kind you can style with like any type of shoe. I love this with a Doc Marten boot moment because that just gives me those classic kind of 90s vibes. And it was a blue tag, so it was half off that day. And the last thing from the thrift store side, I decided to bring home this little fluttery floral blouse. This is a type of style I have been looking for. I think it'll make a great spring and summer piece. I feel like it was a little bit oversized, but I think if I tuck it in and style it correctly, it'll look really, really nice. So definitely wanted to give this one a try, and it was just a cute, affordable price to try out this look. And there's no tag on this one. Now, a few things I did not get on this thrift. It was a different store where I did not film, but I have a few vintage gems to show you. I got this cute little pleather 80s bag. It has like piping around it in different sort of primary colors, pink and blue and teal, and a little bit of gold details on the hardware. It is a little bit worn, but pretty good condition for an 80s piece, and a really nice size for this type of bag. Next, I've got this fun button up with some little red and black embroidery detail. It's giving like a little bit Southwestern vibes, but I thought the black and white stripe felt very classic at the same time. So I really like this buttoned all the way up and then tucked into denim and giving it, again, a little bit of a Western styling. And it's missing the tag. And the last piece I got is this knit, like checked or plaid sweater. I really just fell for the colors in this. This is a really beautiful combination of blue and burgundy. And I think it is a hand knit piece that seems like it is a really soft acrylic. It's kind of thick, so definitely not gonna get much wear out of it until the fall, but I think it will be a lot of fun to style, especially over collared shirts and things like that. Basically, I had some FOMO that I was going to regret leaving this behind, so I had to go for it. And that's everything for my haul. Well, thank you so much for thrifting with me at Global Neighborhood Thrift. I was absolutely blown away by that thrift store. I just feel like I can't believe that I had not visited there sooner. It has been on my list to go to for a while, and it did not disappoint. It is probably my new favorite thrift store in the entire Spokane area. If you're local to the area, leave a comment, let me know what you think of the store, or if you have some other favorite recommendations to share with all of us who might thrift in that area. And I do want to say that I felt like I did not have nearly enough time to really dive into, especially the salvage vintage part of that shop. So we'll definitely have to go back there in the future and dive a little bit deeper. But for now, we've got one more stop to make on this Spokane thrifting trip. So I will see you back here next week for that video.